Welcome, folks, to a Lost in the Groove podcast, the Shin Dig Variety Show.
A podcast about society and culture, discussing topics that we deal with now and the changes that are coming.
So with that, let's start today's topic.
Mike, take it away, man. So we kind of came across an interesting story, and it's about our beloved Alec Baldwin. You may remember him from 30 Rock. And now he's known for shooting a gun. Unfortunately killed a person that was on the film set. Sorry, excuse me. I'm just a little stoned. But anyway, the point is, it's a very interesting case because Alec Baldwin is put into a very interesting predicament where he was the one that held the gun, okay? And he was the one that pulled the trigger that killed her, okay? Now, you can say where they were hand gestures and he went over that and everything was taken care of. But you could say also he should have checked the gun to make sure that it was actual blanks. There wasn't actually anything in there, but he didn't. So, Mike, you've been looking over the case and the story.
Yeah, it's fascinating because, what were you just saying? Like, he should have checked it? I mean...
So they have certain codes in Hollywood when props are being given over to the actors of what it is. Like, does it have blanks or anything? So, like, they'll use certain hand gestures, like 2 fingers or like 3 or something. So he did that, and he got back a response that it was blank. So he just took the gun and he did what he did. But they say that he didn't check it. But the question is, why on earth would he check it? I mean, if the props team confirmed that it's blank, then why would he have to confirm again that it's blank?
Yeah, that was exactly my thought too. I mean, and here, I'm looking at something over here as an article as I browse through the most recent criminal charges possible in shooting on the Baldwin set. I mean, to me, it's obvious that the actor is responsible for one thing most of the time, his lines. Is he responsible for lighting?
No.
No, there are people for that. Is he responsible for audio?
No.
Yeah, naturally, right? There are people for that. Same thing for props. Same thing for wardrobe. Same thing for food, for God's sake. Someone handles the food. They bring in food for the crew. So to say that he is guilty of anything, like, cool, maybe he could have double-checked. But if he had... and he was told they're blanks. And, I mean, more often than not, they would be blanks. Why would any live rounds ever end up in prop guns?
Here's another thing also, right? Alec Baldwin has been an actor for, 35 years?
He's not a noob.
No, he's not a noob. He's very well known in the profession. Has he ever had an incident like this ever before? No.
It's sad, man. Yeah.
No.
Of course not.
He's very professional, and it's very well known. So I don't want to be one of those people that are like, don't give him any blame. I don't really see how he fits in this picture over here on how it's his fault.
Criminal charges? Come on. That's just news for the most part. So there was some more recent stuff here. Let's share this tab and the video with you guys.
Ooh.
So this was just a couple of days ago.
Wow. Oh, that was the set.
The Rush shooting investigation
Sabotage.
After an explosive claim from the attorneys representing Hannah Gutierrez Reed. In an exclusive interview with Savannah on Wednesday, lawyers for the film's armorer suggested the shooting may have been sabotage, speculating a live bullet was purposely planted on set and accidentally loaded into the gun that killed cinematographer Halyna Hutchins.
I mean, come on, man. They're gonna say sabotage, and then they're gonna say a live round accidentally ended up in the prop gun.
Accident.
It can't be both. It can't be both. So if it was intentionally, sabotaged and live rounds ended up in the props, well, someone made sure that thing ended up inside that weapon. So again, we gotta put responsibility where it belongs. At the same time, like I have a lot of clients who are in the world of production. They work incredibly hard, incredibly long hours. They deserve every penny and more. And there is a current strike going on with
because
some of these networks.
They've been overworking, and the crazy thing is, we were talking about C-19 last episode. Okay, the pandemic actually affected the movie industry, where the people that are behind the scenes have been working more just to keep up with trying to make up for the past year or so. So I know this from somebody personally. She knows a few people in the movie industry right now that are in props. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Some of them have a 72 hours a week.
Yeah, I mean, that's
72 hours. That's
not bad.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but I unfortunately base it on
that's over 12 hour long. That's past 12. That's 14-hour long shifts per day.
Yeah, that's pretty typical. And from my perspective, the reason why I say that's not that bad, because I base it on my own schedule. I work about that much, sometimes more, sometimes 100 hours a week, and that's like every week at months at a time. But
that's pretty intense, man.
Yeah, I mean, you got to love your work and your willingness to succeed no matter what. That requires the time and the effort. But still, that's why I say 72 hours doesn't seem bad to me, but that's almost 2 full-time jobs in a week, right? 40 hours per week. It's pretty nuts, but it is typical for them to do 14, 15, sometimes 18 hours.
But dude, that's normal a little bit of the time. These are people that have been doing 14-hour shifts per day, per week for the past year and a half.
Yes.
Straight.
I mean, the demand for content is very high.
That maybe 14 hours once a week, maybe 14 hours 3 times a month, but not for a year and a half. That's insane. That is not normal.
No, but it is. It is normal in
right
in the
now.
production
It's normal,
world.
but before it wasn't like this.
It actually was, man. It really was. You just don't hear about it. But like I said, man, I know people, clients that have done production for 30 years. It's their career. 14-hour days is pretty typical for a lot of these guys, especially when they're shooting off-site. So they had to rent, some place. They're in a city. The reason why they sometimes work these hours consistently is if you have a permit to do a few scenes in a section of a city, well, you've only been allocated a certain amount of time to get it done. It needs to get done. Otherwise, you renew that permit and it costs more money. So they have budget constraints too.
It's the same thing with, they don't realize this. You ever watch movies that have vintage cars?
Yeah.
And the most pain in the ass thing is where the cars have to be hand delivered. So they have to wait like 3 or 4 hours for all the cars to be put in the spots, and then have the cars that are to be driven by stuntmen, extras. And they have to wait and set up all this. And then by the time they're done to do a scene that's like maybe like 5 minutes, it takes like 10 hours.
Yeah. I mean, for a 5-minute scene. Yeah.
5-minute scene.
Yep. Absolutely. That's pretty normal. But again, you have all of these people on set. They're all working incredibly hard. Mistakes can be made when they're doing such crazy hours. But a bigger question would become, how did live rounds even end up on this set? Why would it even be on set? Or anywhere near on set?
I have a theory. Okay.
Tell me your thoughts.
She's from Ukraine. Okay. Now, sometimes you can have where I'm serious, in the Soviet Union, she could have been a part of something back then, and she could have pissed off some groups. There are still some Soviet groups that still exist here in the United States. My theory is, think about just the Actors Guild and all of the production, the whole thing behind movies. A lot of it's run by the mafia. Okay? Now,
I mean,
so it's very possible she could have ticked off somebody within the mafia or somewhere that this happened. Now, you mentioned this clearly, is props is a great place to do this because they're so busy and they're constantly overwhelmed. They don't have time. Once the gun is checked, it's checked until it's given to the actor's hand. That can be like 8 hours.
That's true.
Right.
So it could have been tampered with.
Tampered with by somebody, because I think they said that she escaped Ukraine, if I'm not mistaken. That's how she came to the United States. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, she's obviously been working in production for some time.
But, I know somebody that was from Yugoslavia. Okay? He was a printer. Just regular class act printer. He was arrested by the police in Yugoslavia in 1988, and they were going to throw him in prison. He escaped. He went back to the United States. Do you know that he's had 3 times death warrants to kill him? He had his apartment that was completely ransacked and burned to the ground.
When did this happen?
2007 was when they did that.
That's pretty recent.
Yeah. So they
right.
Sometimes they'll find you, even though they're like you. We gotta remember
they'll get you.
Yeah, of course they'll get you.
We're talking about the mafia, man.
Look, I think that's the best. It's a theory. I'm not entirely accurate. You guys in the comments below can tell us, but that's what I think. I think that it's because was from post-Soviet Union and she escaped. Some way they found who she was and tampered with it, and that's unfortunately what happened. Not saying she's a bad person. This applies to anyone that escaped the Soviet Union. There are many people that are still under fear. They don't even realize it.
Right. I mean, you just don't know. Like, you get away for 5 or 10 years, and you're like, I got away with it. No one's looking for me. I'm safe, finally. And then maybe something like this happens. It is speculation, though. We don't know for sure.
No, we don't know for
sure. That's the case. But it's still the most
honestly, it's the most logical explanation.
I mean, as fringe as it gets, like, yeah, I can see that being an explanation, because the main thought that comes to my mind, I'm like, it just doesn't make sense that live rounds would even be on. Why would you need? Maybe for fun, right? Like maybe they would like to go shooting for fun for their spare time while they're out there.
Dude, what spare time? They were on a remote set. Here's another
remote set.
They're on a remote set. These means that these people are working 24 hours, 7 days a week. They have shifts. There's like, you finish your shift, go to sleep, wake up, do your shift again. Like there's no time for any type of play. They're on a tight schedule.
Yeah, they're on a tight schedule.
So how the hell would they have had time? Like, oh, let's put a real bullet in a gun? Come on, man.
So,
doesn't make sense.
So how about the question of, was there anybody on set that looked suspicious that didn't belong, right? Because everyone should be identified as to who they are, why they're there, employed by that production company for quite some time, unless they do have changes.
Here's the interesting thing. There's been no article mentioning about the count of how many of the peoples in the prop team, was checked.
Like, yeah, there's a good question. How many people were employed by the production company working in the prop section?
We don't know that.
How many of them were present?
We don't know
on that day.
They haven't given us a number. That's the really strange part. Is why haven't they told us on how many people were in the prop team at all? Like that hasn't been mentioned anywhere, as far as I can see. That's also strange.
But these are the thoughts. I mean, when I heard it for the first time, I thought it to be really crazy. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's awful that somebody died from this. Somebody got injured. I think the director got injured, and then the producer passed away. But it's just such a crazy story, and should never happen. It should never it should have never happened in any shape or form, because generally we're talking about a very well organized system, right? Production is generally very organized. Chaotic, yes.
I mean, think about it. Again, this is an A-class actor. A-class. We're putting him in the ranks of like Tom Hanks. Okay?
He is up there.
Yeah, like,
he is
these
definitely
are
up there.
really... So they have the best production teams. They follow all the highest grade policies and all of that. Why? Because they have to. You know, they're dealing with this is an extremely important set. So somebody fucked up. But the question is,
somebody
who?
fucked up.
Who?
I mean, you know, I'm seeing this headline here. Star shares Rust crew members' social media post defending conditions on set. Like, he's vouching for them, saying, like, you know, the conditions on set were above par. They all do their job very well. He's not trying to shift blame or suggest that somebody fucked up, but somebody died. Somebody did fuck up.
By the way, just like to give you an idea, do you know who, like, the people that work in these prop teams, the ones that work for these A-class actors, these people, they've been doing props for like 30, 40 years. These are like people that remember doing this for like Elizabeth Taylor. Like, these are not newbies. They have to have like a really long
a track record, right?
Track record, exactly.
A reputation, a long reputation, especially when we're talking about working with just A-listers. You know, you generally have a very good pick of the crew that you'll work with. And crews generally work with each other for a long period of time, many, many years. They just get used to how each other function on these sets to be able to make things move a little more smoothly. But that's the current story. Like right now, I saw another headline before we end this. Manslaughter is being considered as a charge for this shooting case. Like, how about we find the person who is actually guilty of putting those live rounds,
and leave poor Alec alone. Like, God damn it, man, he gave us 30 Rock. Okay, I mean, like, he's a freaking legend. Leave him alone. Come on.
This makes me think. Like, I'm looking at this. This makes me think. You know, again, thinking in a fringe manner. Like, is he being set up?
I hope not.
Is he being set up right now, and why? That's a whole nother thought. We'll find out as time goes on, and this story continues to develop. We'll bring you guys more facts and more ideas of what we think. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We've reached the end of the broadcasting time limit.
So with that, thank you guys so much for watching.
Please make sure to like and sub, as this helps grow our channel and the Lost in the Groove family, which you are now a part of.
Can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Peace out.